Progressives, this is your trigger warning. As a public service announcement, I'm going to give you progressive Democrats, you woke Marxists, a little tutorial here on the 3 things you'll need for your woke Marxist starter kit. So take notes carefully, because you're going to need all of these things if you're going to believe that the earth is flat. Let's continue. The person that wrote this said, as a former New York City liberal, I can assure you that being a cloud-hugging leftist is exhausting, and it is. Constantly being a victim, constantly marching, constantly protesting, constantly angry. A liberal wakes up every day with the unquenchable desire for victimization, either your own or that of a minority. And if you don't victimize yourself, then you feel guilty for not being a victim, and you seek out minorities that have been victimized. It's exhausting. And if you're a white, straight colonizer like me, he said, you have no cause to play the victim. In fact, you should find a BIPOC ASAP and apologize for your privilege. That's important. Make sure you write that down. I mean, sure, in the 1840s, while my ancestors were starving in Ireland, a handful of similarly skinned people across an ocean owned slaves. And as a seething narcissist, a liberal can't pass up a chance to make history all about himself. Forgive me. Yeah, being a seething narcissist takes a lot of energy, mental and physical. So make sure you're in good shape before you start. Now that you've accepted all the world's problems are your fault, it's time to make amends. Nothing makes a progressive hog feel better about themselves in virtue signaling how open-minded they are. Yeah, that's the ironic part. How open-minded they are, but literally they're the opposite. Number 1, virtue signaling swag. Very, very important. You future progressives out there. Remember all the different ribbons and the wristbands and all that? Make sure you announce to everyone that you're wearing ribbons, you're wearing bands, you're carrying a rainbow flag because you care more than other people do. That makes you special. As a card-carrying Stalinista, you'll need a few things to let the world know your knee to the cause. I'll start with a BLM sticker on your car. That way, when Antifa pulls you over out of your Prius and proceeds to beat the potato salad out of you, they'll know you're on their side as they pummel you and your family into a traumatic brain injury unit. Yep. Yeah, it's amazing. Let's read on. Edit swag. If you really want to beacon to the masses just how open-minded you are, get yourself a Jackie Robinson t-shirt. Sure, as a progressive, you believe sports are full of toxic masculinity, but you've never watched any pro game in any sport, and you have no idea which team Robinson played for. Nonetheless, nothing says, I'm not a bigot, like wearing a t-shirt honoring the nation's first black hockey player. And, of course, he says hockey player in jest because we all know Jackie Robinson played baseball. I hope you future progressives are out there taking notes because this is important. Number 2, a double-jointed back-packing arm. Say that 3 times fast. The happiest liberals are those who can smilingly vomit their racist views and congratulate themselves for their bigotry at the same time. Now we have separate dormitories in colleges for non-white people. We have separate graduations, separate birthday parties, and on and on. That's just people assimilating with their own kind. We used to call it segregation, but not today, not if you're progressive. Take notes, progressives. You can separate people by gender, anyone you want to pick, and also by race, and separate them, and it's not bigotry. Boy, talk about double-jointed patting yourself on the back. Yep. It's amazing to me. We all know, or used to know, but no longer tolerate liberal white people who believe black people are incapable of obtaining an ID. Check out this video of liberals at Berkeley University bravely stating that voter ID is racist. I'm not going to play everybody's seen this a million times. Basically what it is, they go to NYU and they ask the students there, is ID racist? And even the ones that aren't white say, well, poor minorities are just not very bright. They don't know how to use the internet. They have no way of getting to a place to get ID or know where to even begin the process of getting an ID. And then the interviewer goes to Harlem and asks a lot of residents there, all African Americans. I should say black Americans. I hate that term, African Americans. What these students have said. And they're all like, what? We're not stupid. Everybody I know has got an ID. Who would say such a thing? Of course we know what DMV is. It's the low expectations of racism. And even the black students say, well, some minorities, especially the poorer ones, are clueless how to function in society or even use the internet for that matter. Number 3, very important, suspension of disbelief. I recently broke my rule, he said, engage in a little Facebook political pugilism, and as expected, your typical liberal is bulletproof against facts. I used to do that in my store constantly. Constantly. I used to say that back in the 1920s and 30s in the United States, teenage blacks had a lower unemployment percent than teenage whites. It's a fact. And nobody believes it. You go, la, 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 la. I remember a girl once, SUNY Binghamton here is located. You get a lot of college students from New York City come up here in upstate New York. And the subject came up of global warming. And my store for a long time was kind of like a old school barbershop where you sat around and talked about issues. And I said to 2 of the girls, the climate change issue came up. And I said, well, you guys are from New York, right? Yeah. So you've been to Central Park where that big giant boulder is? Oh, yeah, I've seen it there a million times. I said, how did it get there? Well, it was what I understand from class. The last ice age lifted up a bunch of rocks, brought them down through the ice, and when the ice melted, it deposited the huge giant boulder. I went, yep, you're absolutely right. And what happened to the glacier again? Well, it melted. I said, oh, global warming, even thousands of years ago? Are you people even thinking clearly at all? And the one girl said F you and left. The other girl stayed for a couple of minutes. But it was almost as hard as teaching a golden retriever how to play chess. I posted an article about Chicago chasing young black kids out of sports facility to make room for illegal migrants, which happened. And of course, the residents there are pissed, but they'll still vote Democrat next time around. And another involving Boston surrendering a recreation center in a black neighborhood to the cultural enrichers. People in Chicago fought back and kept their facility. Black folks in Boston weren't so lucky. Why didn't my liberal friend who is black believe the stories? He's been demoralized. KGB defector Yuri Bezmenov was accurate when he said, and I remember this guy, his famous quote, as I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who is demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell them nothing. Even if I shower them with information with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him the concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he receives a kick in his fat bottom. When the military brute crashes his balls, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragedy of the situation of demoralization. I hope you future woke people are taking notes. The Democrat Party is a cult. This is the cult you want to belong to, progressives. Cults are typically recruit people who are autistic, have learning disorders, lack critical thinking skills, are ungrounded, aren't aware of what's happening in the news, and have drug or alcohol issues. cults will love bomb a new recruit and make them feel special. The only way to continue to remain in the cult and feel special is to become completely obedient, never question what they are told, and ignore outside information. Now, it's true. How many times have you seen somebody shadow banned or banned, especially on Twitter, where they'll toe the line for progressive dogma policy, and they'll do 90, 95 different issues they'll agree. But if you disagree on one issue, you are now a right-wing conspiratist and must be burned from society and just put in a cave somewhere where no one can hear you. Yep. We know the three basic necessities that should we decide to become libdolts. The list is just the beginning. You also have to scrape off your work ethic and sense of personal responsibility. These things are kryptonite to a Bolshevik. For those who really want to rise and shine in America, communist society, here's a list of the myths you must believe in. Now, future progressives, look at this list. Write it down. Stop the video, because you've got to be able to follow all of these. How many blue anon conspiracy theories do you believe? And remember, you have to believe all of them, or you're ostracized from the cult. Russian collusion. The Hunter Biden laptop story, being that's just fake news, Russian propaganda. Charlottesville, where Trump said there were good people on both sides, meaning the racists, which isn't true, of course. Bubba Wallace. Jussie Smollett. Oh, yeah. Remember that one? He went to get a submarine sandwich at Subway at the middle of the night at 10 below zero in Chicago and was assaulted by Trump supporters, ended up being two friends of his from Nigeria. The Covington Catholic kids, ones they said that goaded out that poor Native American, when really the Native American goaded them, and they sued and won. Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot. There was 10, 12 people in the plot, and out of those 12, 10 of them were FBI informants. Remember that one? COVID lab leak was a conspiracy theory. The Steele dossier, remember that one? With Russian collusion with the Trump campaign. If you don't believe that, you can't be a wokester. Don't say gay was in the bill. Oh, that's the Florida bill. They never said that, of course. And migrant kids in cages. That was Barack Obama. The Georgia election integrity was the new Jim Crow, trying to make laws and rules to help with election integrity is the new Jim Crow. And all the Democrats, including Nancy Pelosi, spouted that. The Duke lacrosse kids. Zelensky is a paragon of democracy. The same one that put his political opponents in jail. That sound familiar here in the U.S.? And also suspended the election. Those who say, well, John, he's going through a war. Russia's invading him. Abraham Lincoln was in the middle of a civil war. The worst catastrophe to ever befall the United States. If you punched in today's population numbers, 6 million Americans died. And he still had his election, and it wasn't canceled. And, of course, last but not least, January 6th. It's really something. So there you have it, folks. Any of you future woke progressive cult members, this is a great way to start. And I hope you were taking notes. Rewatch this video several times so you don't miss a thing. And remember, you have to believe everything on that list or you can't be a member. It's what a great calling. And I wish all you future woke progressive activists all the care and happiness in the world. I can't keep a straight face anymore. But you know, the part was, this is satire, but the reason why it's good satire is very much like the Babylon Bee does. It's true. And truth is stranger than fiction, folks. Until the next time, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.